Yeah, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity and also for clarification. I represent Swisscontact and also promoting private sector employment project, which is financed by the Swiss Development Agency. But myself, I'm from the Netherlands. But
I'm sorry.
it's okay. What I would like to tell a bit about is how we in our project, which is focused on increasing employment through private sector development, how we try to reach this and why we think it is very important to also focus on women's economic empowerment to reach these goals. Therefore I would also like to get then later a little bit reflection from your side whether this is also the way to really make the business case to the private sector on the importance of including women in the economic sectors where we are working in, for example, tourism and food processing, and in their individual businesses for economic growth and also for Kosovo economy in general. Luckily, some speakers before me, they already mentioned a lot of data. I would like to mention a few more, because when we started our project, what we did is first to make an analysis, specifically also in the sectors where we would be working, on what is especially the position of women and what are the main barriers that they encounter. And I think that is that should be maybe for all the actors in the, working for the economic growth in Kosovo the first thing to do, to really see what are the main obstacles for women to engage in business, in the economy, etc. So what is important is in that sense that really women are an untapped resource for the private sector. Because as you can see that mostly women that are working, they work in the public sector, and also most of the women that have decision-making positions, they work also in the public sector. In the private sector, there are only less than 1% of the managers in the private companies that are women. Which compared to Eastern and Central European countries is the lowest in the region, because in those other countries it's about 20%, so it's extremely low here. Also another thing is that only 13% of all the small and medium enterprises in Kosovo are owned by women, while 3% are co-owned by women. And there we can also see, of course, that most of the businesses are registered on the name of the man in the household, but of course most of them are family businesses. So the women are usually, of course, contributing in the business, but their role is in general quite invisible, and in that manner it also becomes very or more difficult for them to have access to services to grow the business, and also to skills and financial services, etc. What we actually did based on the analysis of these main factors, and I will just mention them briefly. In the first place, the main barrier is still what was also mentioned before, the traditional gender roles and norms, the role that women play, and we can give a very clear example of the tourism sector, where we are working, where it is generally not really seen appropriate for a lot of women to be involved in jobs in the tourism sector, and that's also the reason why actually only 5% of women are engaged in vocational and educational training in tourism in Kosovo. So what we actually did as interventions, or we were thinking of interventions, that it would be very important to really have role models and stimulate successful women business. Together with a marketing company, we started a campaign that I hope most of you know. It is You Can Too, where we made and published in Facebook, etc., successful women that have success in business, and in that sense try to also stimulate other women, with the slogan "You Can Too," to start a business or increase their business. And also we made some how can you say, case studies and programs together with TD21 in the program of Startup. Also with the same purpose, to really visualize women. But like I already said, that what is very important is to really have tools to analyze what are the main problems in every single sector or business or project. And we realized that there are very few how can I say, there's really few capacity of specialists, gender specialists, that are also taking into consideration economic issues and involvement in value chain. So how to include gender in value chain development and economic development. And therefore we also organized together with ILO a training for business consultants to increase these capacities. And so now at this moment we have about 6 consultants that are specialized in this and can offer these services to projects, to ministries, etc. And we hope that there will be also then more consciousness raising of this. Then the other obstacle that we identified, what is also the main reason that was mentioned before, why women don't engage in employment or don't start a business, is are their family obligations. And therefore we started a study and assessment in some municipalities on the conditions of existing child care facilities. And we would like to start also identify private businesses, and we know one example of an ICT company that has interest in starting their own childcare facility, because the turnover of their skilled personnel, especially women, because of this family circumstances and the burden of the household work, that they can reduce the turnover of their female staff. And there we feel a little bit of one of the problems is that the businesses mostly are only incentivized if they have a need for skilled labor, and if that skilled labor is scarce in the labor market. So it's still a challenge to also convince businesses that have more unskilled labor necessary. Then, what is also a pity that there is not really a time use, how can I say, a study available for Kosovo. In most of the countries there is this availability of to really see how much is the time compared to men that women really spend in the household. Another obstacle that we identified is the access to property rights and inheritance, and therefore now we made an agreement with Tabank so that they will include the information on property rights by a lawyer's firm in the information that they give to women that get credit for a startup in their bank. And we hope that when we publish the results of this, and there will be